New Year's Eve 2007, Beijing South Railway Station. Migrant workers flocked to the trains, ready to embark on their journey home for the Spring Festival. Lin Jianqing is one of them. He is a university student studying in Beijing who loves gaming and dreams of developing his own game. On this train, Jianqing has a chance encounter with a girl named Fang Xiaoxiao. Xiaoxiao, a free-spirited and straightforward girl, moved to Beijing without attending college. She can drink ergo and play poker. Coincidentally, they are from the same hometown. During their first meeting, as the train temporarily stops, Xiaoxiao and Jianqing look at the deer in the snow through the window and then walk through the vast white snow together. Xiaoxiao shares her story of moving to Beijing. This snowfall marks the beginning of their 10-year relationship. After arriving home, Jianqing saw Xiaoxiao again. Xiaoxiao was wearing a pair of very high platform shoes and playing with fireworks in the snow. Seeing her made Jianqing feel happy. Xiaoxiao's father passed away early, and her mother is abroad, leaving her alone at home. It was just in time for the New Year's Eve dinner, so Jianqing's father invited Xiaoxiao to join them. Xiaoxiao was eloquent, and the elders liked her very much. This was also the happiest year for Xiaoxiao. After the New Year's Eve dinner, Jianqing helped Xiaoxiao, who was struggling with her wedge heels. They started sharing their stories in the snow. Xiaoxiao said that staying in Beijing for 5 years means you've settled down. Jianqing, who had just graduated, found Beijing to be a magical city where all the best and most amazing things happen. His biggest dream was to leave his hometown and achieve success in Beijing. Xiaoxiao has been in Beijing for 4 years. She doesn't want a predictable life, and Beijing can fulfill all her dreams. For Xiaoxiao, marrying a Beijinger with a house and car and living a stable and prosperous life is her biggest dream. On New Year's Eve, amidst the dazzling fireworks, Jianqing and Xiaoxiao loudly wished for their dreams to come true in the coming year. After graduating from university, Jianqing became a true Baipiao, Beijing drifter. He and 2 good friends rented a place in Zhongguancun's computer market to start a business, mainly selling software and computer accessories. Meanwhile, Xiaoxiao continued doing various odd jobs to make a living. One night, during a gathering with friends, Xiaoxiao brought her new boyfriend. He was a Beijinger, a PhD holder, and a civil servant in charge of housing allocation. Once they got married, Xiaoxiao could live in a welfare house, and her dream of settling in Beijing would come true. But for some reason, Jianqing wasn't happy after meeting Xiaoxiao's boyfriend. The next day, Xiaoxiao was supposed to meet his parents. When Jianqing heard about it, he frowned even more. However, Xiaoxiao suddenly called Jianqing afterward. It turned out that the meeting with the parents had failed. The boyfriend's mother disliked Xiaoxiao for her lack of education, thinking she wasn't good enough for her son. As a result, Xiaoxiao moved out of her boyfriend's house. With nowhere to stay, Jianqing let Xiaoxiao move into his rental apartment. As a recent graduate living in Beijing, Jianqing resides in a shabby tube-shaped apartment with a noisy environment. Now there's another person. Jianqing lets Xiaoxiao sleep on the bed while he sleeps on the floor. The rental apartment has poor sound insulation, and they can hear all sorts of noises from the neighbors. The 2 of them put on headphones and listen to Mayday's Contentment, as if they too are enveloped in a hazy sense of contentment. After that, Xiaoxiao also rented a spot in Zhongguancun Computer City and started doing the same work as Jianqing. Because he was thinking about Xiaoxiao, Jianqing often referred his own customers to her. However, Jianqing and his friend's startup was not successful, and they were struggling to pay the rent. One friend, under his parents' arrangement, planned to return to their small hometown to become a civil servant, while the other decided to work at a company. Without his partners, Jianqing's first entrepreneurial attempt had to be abandoned. To make a living, Jianqing started selling various CDs in the underground passage again. Meanwhile, Xiaoxiao caught the eye of a middle-aged man who came to buy computer software. He works at a state-owned enterprise and is about to be promoted to director. He even has a house in Beijing. This man likes girls with long hair, so Xiaoxiao wore a wig. But what Jianqing cared about the most was whether Xiaoxiao loved that man. Xiaoxiao only said that she felt very secure with him and that she would be moving into a big house in a few days. Her longtime dream of living in Beijing was about to come true. You can see that Jianqing's face still doesn't show any sign of a smile. While chatting, a customer came to buy a DVD and mentioned that Xiaoxiao looks like a certain actress from Japanese adult films. Jianqing immediately got upset and even started a fight. Living under the same roof, Jianqing and Xiaoxiao always maintained a good buddy relationship. Xiaoxiao even called Jianqing her family. But that night, Jianqing couldn't sleep, worried about Xiaoxiao marrying an old man. He told her to be cautious, saying there are many old man scammers nowadays. Xiaoxiao teased Jianqing, asking if he liked her. Jianqing stubbornly replied that there are so many girls lining up for him, how could he like her? Xiao Xiao didn't press further, and they started joking and playing around again, letting the matter pass. It's New Year's Eve again. Xiao Xiao's department head boyfriend gave her a new phone, said to be the latest and very expensive. Xiao Xiao was overjoyed, but Jianqing said that giving a phone doesn't mean anything. He didn't even spend New Year's Eve with Xiao Xiao, which shows he's unreliable. Xiao Xiao just said Jianqing was being too nosy. Jianqing then decided to accompany Xiao Xiao for New Year's Eve. In the bustling Shidong shopping mall, Jianqing and Xiao Xiao made heart gestures on the big screen. Then, a familiar person appeared. It was Xiao Xiao's boyfriend, with his wife and child. Only then did Xiao Xiao realize she had been deceived. To comfort Xiao Xiao, Jianqing bought a lot of food and drinks. The two of them played around in the rented room, and 2007 passed just like that. Jianqing encouraged Xiao Xiao, saying that in 3 years, he would buy 8 houses in Beijing and give one to Xiao Xiao just to make her happy. The sound of the New Year countdown came from the TV next door. Jianqing and Xiao Xiao counted down together, hugged each other, and wished each other a happy new year. In that moment, all the feelings they had accumulated over time erupted, and they finally saw each other naked as the new year arrived. But on New Year's Day in 2008, Xiao Xiao suddenly left and never returned. Jianqing realized that maybe he couldn't give Xiao Xiao the life she wanted, or perhaps Xiao Xiao was afraid to face their relationship. Xiao Xiao never came back. A year later, she excitedly ran to Jianqing's rental apartment to tell him she was in love again. But at that time, Jianqing was in jail for selling adult DVDs. Xiao Xiao wanted to visit him, but the prison didn't allow it. And so it went. The time comes to New Year's Eve in 2008. Since Jianqing was detained, Xiao Xiao went to his home to visit his father on his behalf. In front of the elders, Xiao Xiao lied that Jianqing couldn't come back because he was busy with work. At the New Year's Eve dinner table, Xiao Xiao warmly accompanied the elders and brought gifts for each of them. But in reality, no one was more upset than her. As soon as the New Year's Eve banquet ended, Xiao Xiao couldn't hold back her tears any longer and cried. After some time, Jianqing was released from the station. Xiao Xiao told Jianqing that she was seeing someone new. This time, the guy wasn't from Beijing, didn't own a house, and was just a decent-looking young man with an unstable job. Jianqing thought Xiao Xiao was crazy, but she suddenly kissed him. It turned out that the young man she was talking about was Jianqing himself. A year ago, Xiao Xiao's ex-boyfriend, who had a wife and kids, came to Jianqing's stall to buy DVDs and was recognized by Jianqing. To stand up for Xiao Xiao, Jianqing beat him up. From that moment, Xiao Xiao knew that Jianqing was the one she was truly looking for. Jianqing no longer hid his feelings and was willing to do anything for Xiao Xiao. From that day on, Jianqing and Xiao Xiao became a couple. In Beijing, they bought breakfast together and squeezed into the subway. While dating, they worked hard for their future. Jianqing worked as a customer service representative at an online gaming company while designing his own game. Xiao Xiao found a job selling houses. They worked tirelessly to make money, even if it meant not affording a taxi or sharing a bowl of instant noodles. Under the vibrant night lights of Beijing, the future didn't seem far away. Once, Xiao Xiao saw an abandoned old sofa at the entrance of their community and loved it so much that she insisted Jianqing carry it into their home. At that time, Xiao Xiao jumped up and down on the old sofa, and Jianqing held her, imagining their future together. If possible, they wished time could stand still forever. In the Spring Festival of 2009, Jianqing used his year-end bonus to rent a car and bought a bunch of Quanjued roast duck to have a reunion dinner with his old classmates back in his hometown. Most of his classmates were doing well in their hometowns, and one of his friends who had returned from Beijing to become a civil servant now had a house and a car. To save face in front of the old classmates, Xiao Xiao lied that Jianqing worked at a big company and earned a lot every year. The classmates pretended to believe it but privately gossiped, saying Jianqing was just a poor guy pretending to be rich. Jianqing overheard these comments, and his self-esteem was crushed. When it was time to pay the bill, Jianqing realized he couldn't afford it. At that moment, he understood that his classmates were right. He was a dreamer from Beijing who had achieved nothing. Jianqing got drunk and was helped home by Xiao Xiao. His father comforted him, saying that it was okay to have no money. But Jianqing's stubbornness flared up. If he didn't put on a brave face, how could he face his old classmates? Jianqing regretted coming home this year. On the way back to Beijing, Xiao Xiao also comforted him. She used to want a house and a car, but now it didn't matter. As long as they were together, nothing else mattered. However, Jianqing felt that Xiao Xiao's words implied that he was incompetent. They had a big argument in the car. Arguing during the New Year set a bad tone for the entire year. Jianqing, who went to work in a bad mood, ended up yelling at a customer over the phone and got beaten up afterward. In the evening, he got into a fight with a stranger at a food stall. Xiao Xiao slapped Jianqing and asked him what was wrong. Jianqing remained silent. He didn't know what was wrong either. The two of them took a bus through Tiananmen, and Beijing's night was still as vibrant and beautiful as ever, but it seemed to have nothing to do with them. Gradually, a rift grew between Jianqing and Xiao Xiao. Jianqing was tired and wanted to break up, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. On New Year's Eve in 2010, the landlord ordered them to move out. Jianqing loaded box after box of their belongings into the car. Xiao Xiao was reluctant to part with the old sofa they had found, but she knew some things couldn't be kept. And so, they moved, leaving the old sofa behind. After moving into the new rental house, Jianqing and Xiao Xiao didn't speak. They both knew what was coming. On the first day of the Chinese New Year in 2010, the streets of Beijing were extremely quiet. Jianqing and Xiao Xiao walked down the street, but there was already a distance between them. They visited the Forbidden City together, but Jianqing still didn't say a word. After returning, Xiao Xiao ate the last half bowl of instant noodles and then broke up with Jianqing, but he never looked back. It wasn't until he realized that Xiao Xiao had truly left that Jianqing finally ran out. He found Xiao Xiao in the subway. The doors hadn't closed yet, but in that moment, Jianqing just looked at Xiao Xiao without taking a step. And so, the subway left, and Jianqing didn't chase after it. This is where their story ends. Perhaps the breakup gave him some breathing room. After a few days of feeling down, Jianqing decided to take a gamble. He threw himself into game design and worked hard to make a living. But from then on, Jianqing and Xiao Xiao had no more interactions in the city. Finally, Jianqing succeeded. He designed a game called Ian and Kelly, where each player can leave a message to apologize to someone they once wronged. The game became very popular, with over 2 million people leaving apologies online. Jianqing was noticed by a gaming company and was interviewed by the media. Meanwhile, Xiao Xiao saw Jianqing on TV. Jianqing explained the inspiration behind Ian and Kelly. Once, the elevator in his community broke down. Jianqing and Xiao Xiao had to climb the stairs. To make the climb easier, Jianqing started telling Xiao Xiao a story. The story's main characters were Ian and Kelly. Ian and Kelly were good friends who got separated by accident. Ian believed Kelly was taken by aliens, so he searched for her across different planets, facing various challenges along the way. To Jianqing, Xiao Xiao was his Kelly. He had once tried his best to protect her and imagined that as long as Ian and Kelly were together, they could bravely explore the planets. But now, he had lost Xiao Xiao, just like Ian lost Kelly. After hearing Jianqing's story, Xiao Xiao in front of the TV was already in tears. Jianqing had achieved success in his career and planned to buy a house in Beijing. The real estate agent with short hair in front of him gradually overlapped with Xiao Xiao's image. Now, he has finally settled in Beijing and realized his ambitious dreams. But the person who accompanied him through thick and thin was lost by him. By chance, Jianqing saw the old abandoned sofa from the past. But now, the sofa had been taken away by the junk collectors, just like their past relationship was taken away by time. Jianqing can't forget Xiao Xiao. As New Year's Eve 2011 approaches, Jianqing texts Xiao Xiao, wanting to know how she's been and hoping to spend the holiday together back home. He hasn't told his father about their breakup yet. Xiao Xiao agreed. After returning home, Jianqing persuaded his father to move to Beijing and live in a big house with him. He also suggested that Xiao Xiao move in with them. However, his father refused, and Xiao Xiao didn't support Jianqing's idea. Jianqing became upset. He thought Xiao Xiao left him initially because he didn't have a house. But now things were different. He had a house, could provide his father with a good life, and could help Xiao Xiao settle in Beijing. Wasn't this what Xiao Xiao wanted the most? But Xiao Xiao said Jianqing didn't understand anything. That New Year's Eve, Jianqing and Xiao Xiao had another unhappy parting. And just like that, for years passed. On the eve of the 2018 Spring Festival, Jianqing met Xiao Xiao on a flight to Beijing. After many years, both have changed significantly. Jianqing is now in first-class business. He is married with children, and though only in his early 30s, he looks weary with some gray hair. Xiao Xiao has also shed her former playfulness. Due to weather conditions, their flight back to Beijing was cancelled, so Jianqing took Xiao Xiao to a hotel to stay temporarily. After saying long time no see, memories began to flood back. The more beautiful the past was, the more painful it feels now. As they reminisced, Jianqing and Xiao Xiao looked at each other in silence. Jianqing's child called via video to see the room, and Xiao Xiao hid awkwardly. After Jianqing ended the call, Xiao Xiao had already left. Jianqing looked downstairs and saw Xiao Xiao waving at him in the snow, looking just the same. Yesterday's passionate love seemed so close, but both Jianqing and Xiao Xiao knew they couldn't go back. Xiao Xiao is still the same, not doing well, and hasn't found a reliable partner. Jianqing, although he has a career and family, is living a predictable life, the kind he once despised. Now, Jianqing's greatest sorrow is that he no longer has the right to do anything for Xiao Xiao. In the deep winter snow, Jianqing and Xiao Xiao embraced and cried. As the snow was about to stop, Jianqing decided to drive Xiao Xiao back to Beijing. Once home, Xiao Xiao seriously said goodbye to Jianqing. Jianqing also wished her to find a man who could go to the moon and dive into the ocean for her. They hugged for the last time, promising to take care of themselves. After letting go, they went their separate ways. Xiao Xiao bought a ticket to go back to her hometown. She decided to stop wandering. Before going home, Xiao Xiao received sticky rice cakes and a letter from Jianqing's father. In the letter, the father said that Jianqing seemed to have grown up overnight over the years, and he knew it was all because of Xiao Xiao. The father told Xiao Xiao to eat well, sleep well, and come back if she was tired. Xiao Xiao looked at the game Ian and Kelly on the computer screen. Countless netizens were saying sorry and goodbye online. Xiao Xiao pressed the enter key, and the world of Ian and Kelly on the screen suddenly became colorful. They walked hand in hand towards the castle of love. The night in Beijing remains vibrant and dazzling. Jianqing and Xiao Xiao shout out to the city. From then on, all past loves and hates vanish like smoke. All that remains for Jianqing and Xiao Xiao are unreachable memories and a future that will never come. In the year 2000, Renee Liu's song, Later, became a hit everywhere. Over 20 years have passed, and Later remains timeless. In 2018, Renee Liu adapted her novel, Home for New Year, into a film. According to Liu, the film tells the story of a decade-long journey and regrets of a couple. You might think 10 years is a long time, but in reality, it passes in the blink of an eye. 10 years ago, just because Xiao Xiao said, "If you stay in Beijing for 5 years, you are rooted here," Jianqing set himself a 5-year goal. Back then, he was full of ambition and determination, dreaming of buying a house in Beijing, becoming a Beijinger, and giving his father and Xiao Xiao a home. Unfortunately, ideals are rich, but reality is harsh. The reality of the capital is enough to crush any youthful passion and smooth out any stubborn edges. 10 years later, Jianqing is no longer worried about food and clothing but is exhausted and busy. He is well off but can see the end of his path. If it weren't for reuniting with Xiao Xiao, he wouldn't have remembered that he was once a sunny and energetic young man. The movie ends.